What's up, y'all? In this episode of the podcast, we're connecting with Robin Herndon. We're talking about everything from business credit, personal credit, business funding, and also acquiring businesses. This is an episode you do not want to miss. Let's go. What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the On the Pursuit podcast. Right now, I am in the middle of Los Angeles, and I'm with Robin Herndon, who helps people with business credit,
funding,
real estate investing,
yep,
and just overall just making sure people are structured and can grow their business properly.
absolutely.
So on this podcast, man, I like to connect with 6, 7-figure earners, 8-figure earners, and really just kind of get the game directly from you guys and have it broken down to the audience so they can really understand, like, what are some of the moves that they need to make to position themselves to grow, you know, and really take advantage of these opportunities out. You know, like I personally connected with entrepreneurs and, you know, even just from like LLCs, structuring your bank account, you know, they're not really sure what moves to make and how things should be set up. You know what I mean? So I'm grateful to have the opportunity to sit with you today, you know, in your office, right?
Yeah, thanks.
And just really learn how you got to where you got to and, you know, what game you can drop to the viewers and the listeners today.
Solid.
Welcome to the podcast.
Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, 2023 right now, and it hasn't really been formally announced about this like recession, depression type of situation, but you can kind of feel the energy if you're paying attention. So, like, if you're a business owner, like, what are some of the moves that you can make to kind of like, you know, insulate yourself and still grow during the market that we're in right now?
Nice. Yeah, I would say it's important for any business owner to educate themselves on like where we are, what's going on with like the government. You know, in business, you got to have some type of leverage, right? And so I do know, like, you know, considering the recession and the interest rates going up, you know, that it's a system that they have in place. And so, you know, any business owner need to be aware of what's going on. So you got to educate yourself, you know what I mean? And like when the whole pandemic happened, you know, people didn't know that they were going to be giving out money to small businesses to keep them going. A lot of people were slipping on that. Yeah. And so we had like the PPP, we had the EIDL, and that was to help stabilize, you know, small businesses and to allow those businesses to keep people employed. And again, if you didn't have that education, you wasn't getting that funding, your business doors was going to be closing and you wasn't going to be able to keep people going. You know what I mean? So I know for myself, I was fortunate to be able to pay attention or to know to pay attention. When Donald Trump was like, hey, this is, I'm declaring this is all bad. You know, I was like, oh, I got to pay attention. What's going to really happen next? Yeah. You know what I mean? And then Congress came out and was like, hey, this is what we're going to do for these small businesses. And this is how you qualify, right? And so going into the recession, it's the same thing that's happening now. Like they're doing certain things for small businesses and you need to be aware of how your business is, you know, can be fortunate, so to speak, or benefit from it. Yeah, to utilize some of that. And so even if it's like a startup business, there's funding out there for startup businesses, new LLCs. You have no employees, but there's stuff out there for you. We're advocating for the people there and making sure that they're educated. We can help them get funding for that. Even if you're a business owner that has employees and things, right? There's money out there if you have employees right now. And people were thinking like the EIDL and the PPP and all that stuff is over with, but there's still funding out there for businesses. So if you educate yourself on what those financial vehicles look like, you know, then you'll be in a position to take advantage or have some type of security while the recession is taking place, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So for like starter entrepreneurs, you know, maybe you've been, you know, going on 3 or 5 years, right? And, you know, your ears to these Instagram streets, your ears to these TikTok streets. A lot of people talk about credit funded structuring, right? And, you know, you just gave a great example, like you need to be paying attention to what's going on. But how does someone know what to pay attention to, what not to pay attention to, and what are some of the sources that they can trust for some of this information?
You know, when it comes down to like starting the business, right? You know, Google is out there. You know what I mean? It's like And you got like you said, social media. You got the University of YouTube. You know, you can Google how to start a business, and most things is like it's common sense. It has to make sense if you ask me. And so, my reply would be, again, it's like, do your research and make sure that it makes sense. Like how to start a business, make sure, you educate yourself there. What else is there? I would say, tap in with some people who's actually doing it for others. Like we do that. We give that education piece and like, hey, this is realistically, make sure it makes sense. This is how it looks, or this is what it should cost to start your own business. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean? Talk to people that are actually currently and actively doing it, and, ask questions and just kind of compare the data, whether it's, again, on YouTube or anybody that's saying that they know what they're talking about, then ask them, Google and call a company like, hey, how do you do this? Make sure it makes sense.
Yeah. What's up, y'all? It's Brennan Boy, and one of the best things that has helped me go to the next level is powerful affirmations. I would say them every single day, literally when I open my eyes. So I put together these powerful affirmation cards to help you get to that next level, right? With powerful statements like, I live in abundance, or statements like, I'm not a prisoner of my limiting beliefs. Now, if you say these things to yourself every single day, using the power of repetition, you're gonna believe the things that you wanna achieve. So look, grab your affirmation deck or your manifestation deck or your money manifestation deck. Let's grow your mindset and let's get you to the next level, right? Click that link below, grab your cards, let's go. So you was mentioning like where people can go to get the information, right? And they can go on Google, they can go on YouTube, but the average person, at least from what I'm saying, that's a starter entrepreneur, or maybe if they're transitioning from like a 9-to-5 where they got a side hustle and they're trying to turn it up a little bit, they're paying a lot of attention to social media. And I think the pandemic, it brought out a lot of people that are teaching, which is great, right? They're teaching business structure, business credit, help you get these loans and funding, Toro, Airbnb, you know what I mean? That like they teaching all these different things. But if you're watching and listening with so many people teaching similar, kind of like similar information, where could somebody like really go to get some solid info? Because if I'm looking at an influencer, I'm seeing a following, I'm seeing the engagement, they're going live consistently. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I kind of, this guy probably knows what he's talking about. This girl kind of knows what she's talking about. But they may get into a program, they're selling a package or whatever, but how do they really know? Because maybe they spend a couple of, they spend some time and some money with this person, and they may not really know. They just know what they're teaching them, but it may not be like the real information. You know what I mean? Because I think that's what's happening a lot too. I think people that don't really know are getting some information, and then they're packaging up and selling that to people that really need the right information, and they're not really getting the right information.
Yeah. And so if we're talking like specifically about structuring or starting a business, I think, or at least in my experience, like every state has that information. It's public. All you got to do is go to the state website. You know what I mean? And I think that would be exactly what you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because those persons like myself, like I know to go to the state website, you know what I mean, and educate myself and call and ask questions, and then for those who don't take the time to do that, then that's why I'm charging them.
100%.
You know what I mean? Maybe that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like attorneys, you know what I mean? Attorneys, they're out there, they're running their businesses. They're not just having people cut them checks to them, so then you want to have legal help, and legal counsel can give you direction as well.
Are there still organizations locally, right, in different communities and cities that someone can physically walk into to get some of this information? I know there are like some community legal, assistance where you can come in and talk to like a lawyer and kind of get a little bit of information. But if you wanted to get some assistance, like starting your business, instructing your business, are there places that exist that you can kind of like physically walk into to get a little bit of basic assistance?
Like a community development. I mean, you might be able to go, and I can't say for sure, honestly, but you might be able to go to, a city hall, or you might be able to go to, I was thinking of like LegalZoom, but that's an online thing. Maybe the colleges, the colleges, they have some type of like starting your own business, and, go to the college and see what they got to say, or like a local community college. And, I can't think of any other, reputable
sources,
if you will,
So what about things to avoid? Like, in the new year, you got a business. What are some things that for you to avoid, stay away from, to make sure you are set up for success? Like what has changed, or what looks like is different from last year, 2022 to 2023?
I would say,
Like, has anything changed with with the funding, being able to have a business maybe structured a certain way, maybe different than how it was last year? Is there access to new funds that are available that weren't available last year?
I would say, make sure that, again, when we talk about like the business being structured properly, like don't get caught with your pants down, so to speak, to where like you don't have like your taxes filed, because that's a big one. Like a lot of people are trying to avoid from filing taxes because they're worried about the expense, or they're claiming that they didn't get no money, right, on their taxes, because they don't want to be paying a whole bunch of money to Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
But then when they do that, they don't qualify for anything.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah. So make sure that you file your taxes. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you're reporting all your expenses, because then you have your write-offs. Then you're going to be eligible for more funding. So I think that's a big one. Just make sure that you're trump tight. You have a paper.
So what's a good way for them to start, I guess, saving for taxes, right? So like one of the books that I read in the past has been good for me, has been like Profit First, right? So it kind of teaches you. Have you read the book?
No, I have not.
So basically it teaches you how, like, when you go and you set up your business account, right? You're setting up with multiple accounts, right? So you're gonna have your tax account, your operations, a savings, and some type of investment account, right? So you got at least 4 accounts. And typically, at least some of the conversations that I've had, a lot of entrepreneurs only have like 1 bank account, 1 checking, 1 savings, right? And they're not doing what you're saying, where they're allocating for taxes or for other opportunities. So, what would you say would be a great way for them to like structure that?
Well,
to put money away for taxes.
Yeah, my business model is always like, don't be so quick to spend everything that you got coming in. You got to be balanced. Always try to tuck at least 20%, maybe 25% specifically for taxes. If that makes sense. My motto is
So when that money comes in, they should just take 20, 25 off the
automatic, off the rip.
So
set that to the side.
So you should be operating with like 75, 80% of what's coming in.
Low key, 50% of that, when it boils down to it, because if, let's say it's just a one-man show, right? You want to set aside 20, 25% for tax purposes, right? To where you have more than enough, if you will. And then, of course, you want to set aside at least 20, 25% for marketing, right? To make sure that you can continue to generate revenue.
Yeah.
So if you revenue in that way, you're setting aside money for taxes, then you're profitable. You know what I mean? All your other expenses, make sure it's all accounted for. Just don't live beyond your means.
It's interesting, right? Because like that's definitely how you grow, right? And it's how you always have money for the future. But it's not always the mindset, right? Because I know when I first started my business when I was in my 20s, it's like money come in, money go out, money come in, money go out. So what's the mindset to get people to kind of get out of like that, not saving, because when you're used to like, oh, I got a 10K coming in, it's like, oh, I got 10K. They're not thinking like, okay, I need to put 20, 30 to the side, 50 to the side. I really got 5 or 6 off of this 10K that I need to be operating with. Yeah. How do you start to plant the seeds to evolve the mindset?
Mindset? I mean, again, you have to educate yourself. Maybe go out there and, listen to some podcasts or some people that have already been through it, where they've taken losses because they had poor habits. and that would help out. I mean, the old school way is like starve and stack. You know what I mean? Just make sure, you still hungry. You got that 10, like you still need more money.
Yeah, fact.
You know what I mean? Put that junk up, you go spend maybe $500 or $1,000, you still got that 9, set to the side. Don't be like, oh, I'm gonna go get it again. Because you never know. You gotta have some money tucked away for a rainy day. You know what I mean? So starve and stack. Like I'm still eating top ramen, you know what I mean?
with some good garnishes now, though.
All that, you know what I mean? Add something there, So just try to be simple, simplify how we doing things. I remember reading and I heard, I can't remember the guy's name, but it was like, if it's gonna hurt you to spend, let's say $100,000 and you go out and you go finance $100,000 car, you already in trouble. You know what I mean? So if you ain't got, let's say $1 million, you should not be driving, as they say, $100,000 car, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes
you know
sense.
what I mean? You got to be able to afford it. So it's just those type of mindsets, like, starve and stack, just don't live beyond your means, tuck it away.
What's up, y'all? So I want to take a second to speak to my creators. So whether you currently got a podcast or think about launching a podcast, maybe you got a YouTube channel and you think about launching a YouTube channel. Here are the facts. Did you know that 9 out of 10 creators actually quit because they don't have anyone to hold them accountable? That's why all you need to do, right? Click that link below, join my Action Takers community, because not only are we gonna hold you accountable, we're gonna teach you how to execute at a higher level. Plus, give you access to principles and strategies to grow your mindset and generate more revenue. So what are you waiting for? Click that link below and join one of the fastest growing content and accountability communities, all right? I'll see you on the inside. What's your story like with that, right? So what was your journey to you evolving as an entrepreneur and as a business person?
For me, it was always setting goals. I have my obligations, I got my kids, I got the family, so those are all my motivation. You know what I mean? So I want to be in a position to be able to take care of the fam, them to be in a position to take care of things if something go wrong with me. And so, my practices is, again, simplification, tuck it away, whatever I'm making, put it away, take care of the necessities.
Yeah.
And then again, just be goal driven. And so I'm always setting like quarterly goals, annual goals, and just focus on doing that. And a big thing in my business has always been making sure that I got systems and process to help me get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So educate myself on like what system is going to help me. Like we're talking about like funnels and things, marketing, like what systems is going to help me to do what I can't do by myself, as if I have like 10 people, so that's a big thing for me, is system and process. Delegate and duplicate. And then, if you're in a position, then, getting personnel that can actually help you, you know what I mean? Like-minded people that's on your same page where they can help you get to the next level. So that's been my thing, is just positioning myself and making sure I got the goals, making sure that I got the team, and then I got the systems and process. And I'm always educating myself to have all that in place, and I think that's what's helped me thus far, is having the systems and process and having that mindset and trying to open it up to other people, and then them helping me out meet that goal, and then just staying consistent and going after that goal, and then it just happens.
What was your first business?
First business, my first LLC I think I started it was for real estate. It was Established Realist is what it was called. Yep, and it was for fix and flip. Yep, fix and flip real estate. So that was back in like 2008 is when I started that one. And I had that mindset at the time as a realtor, because I was practicing real estate, and I was like, if I'm not established, I'm going to be established. I'm gonna keep it real, and I'm gonna work, diligently to meet that goal. So I started that LLC called Established Realist LLC. So next thing you know, when I started doing fix and flips, it was underneath that entity. Yeah.
And then how many businesses do you have now?
Currently flowing here, we got like 5 different businesses working. Man, I got like 30 different LLCs and some trusts and things of that sort. So and I sell businesses. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I got all
That's a
type of
good one.
LLCs for sale.
That's a good one too, man, because you can be an entrepreneur that actually starts a business, or you can just buy one that's already rolling. And there's a lot of online businesses and brick and mortars that are for sale, like right now, that you can step into some cash flow.
Yeah.
And you can retain some of the people that might even be working there, and learn that business while it's cash flowing. I think a lot of entrepreneurs think that they have to just start something from scratch.
Oh yeah.
But there's other opportunity for them to kind of step in the game.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of reminds me of like franchise companies, you know what I mean? And, you can go spend 10, 25 grand or something and just kind of tap into a business that's already flowing. They already got employees and then they have systems and process already set up, and then you just start eating off of that. Yeah.
What were some of the tough lessons that you learned through the years that allowed you to, okay, I got this one, I'm not making this mistake again, and it also helped you grow?
Honestly, I think it was, I was pretty fanatic, like, if you want something done, you got to do it yourself, and I just found that, it's like being a realtor, right? And you're out there helping all these other people and you're like grinding to just make that dollar. For me, it was like, I got to help myself personally, and I got to build my own business and then make sure that, I'm at some point extending the opportunity to others, to help them. And then in return, they'll help me. And so it was that, just transitioning from it just being like a one-man show, and then eventually taking like some of the earnings and things that I've earned, after being consistent, and then just open it up to other people. So I start, not just investing into myself like how I did, I start investing to other people. Yeah. And then once I start investing to other people, then I start getting blessings that way. I started revenue a little bit more. My network was a little bit larger, because I'm helping, giving people opportunities, so to speak. Yeah. And now I have, 10 people that's working for me, and I can do a lot more versus it's just me.
Facts. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're able to leverage.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. You continue to kind of like touch on that. And there's a lot of different ways for people to leverage. You can leverage like you were talking about, like the systems, obviously, virtual assistants, and then also hiring and putting people in position and then giving them opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of like virtual assistants, I got one now, and I think we're going to bring on like 3 more. And then currently we have 10 in-house, I think it is. Yeah. So, again, the more people you have, the more you can get done. And it's cool to have virtual assistants because it's a little bit less expensive, of course.
Yeah, and they actually go kind of, if you get some good ones, they gonna go crazy.
Yeah, and that's for sure. I just like the whole concept of like when we're, and in most cases, we're dealing with people like in the Philippines or wherever, when we're sleeping, they're working. Yeah. And so you're still getting things done. Yeah. And that's a crucial piece in, business, especially in small businesses, in order for them to scale.
How would a small business tap into funding, right? And then what are some of the things that they can do with that funding to actually grow? Because funding, if you're on social media right now, it's a buzzword. Everyone's like, hey, listen, I can help you get, 10K, 20K, 150, qualify for 150 funding. But once they get this funding, what can people do with the money so then they can literally grow their business, versus just having access to the money and still having the same, the same program?
Yeah, so I'll make sure I touch on that, but like it starts with, your credibility, right? Your awareness. So, credit is a crucial piece in the process. Like if you're trying to get like business funding, or even if you're trying to get personal credit cards, you ain't gonna qualify if your credit sucks. As simple as that, right? So as long as you got that stuff in order, and then you educate yourself and find out what's the funding criteria, then you'll meet the qualifications to get the funding, right? Yeah. Once you have some form of funding, you got to pay that bread back. You know what I mean? So you need to be versed in what the terms is and how much it's going to cost you. Make sure you have systems and process in place, And part of that system and process is going to be marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So don't go take 10 grand like how you talked about, and you don't take a portion of it and put it into marketing. No matter,
you can bring in new.
so you can bring in more business, and then you still got that financial obligation, the loan that you got to pay off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You got to get them people their money back. So
No, of course. Yeah.
make sure you got some marketing, again, systems and process in place, and then you'll be able to pay that loan back, and then you'll be eligible for more funding eventually.
Can you utilize that funding to leverage to create more cash flowing opportunities, or get to tap into more leverage opportunities?
Absolutely. You know, when you go and you apply for a loan, let's say Chase or whatever, they'll ask you, what's the purpose of the loan? You know, and it's one thing to be, you know, you ain't gonna tell them, oh, I just want to pay my mortgage, or I'm trying to pay my car note, nothing like, you don't do all that, right? It's gonna be to either take care of your staff. If you don't have staff, it's gonna be for operations, right? And it's gonna be for marketing. And then those two things make sense, you know, marketing and operations, because you're supposed to revenue from those.
Yeah.
If that makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, just that part right there. Hopefully I answered your question.
And podcasters, how would you like to make 5 or 6 figures with your podcast? Did you know that most podcasters do not make any revenue? It's because they think they need brand deals, sponsorships, and a large audience to monetize your show. But what if I told you you don't need none of that? There's a simple 4-step framework to position your show to be monetized. And I can give it again completely for free. All you need to do is head over to podcast2profits.live, and I'll see you in this exclusive training. I'm gonna give you all the game. What are you waiting for? Head over to the training, let's go.
So an existing business owner that may want to tap into some additional funds, they could purchase a shell business that's already has some history, and then they can. So are you starting that? Are you taking that business, or are you just leveraging the opportunity to utilize the funding that would come from that?
You know, you're taking that business, purchasing that business just because of the history, right? And in order to be eligible for funding with most banks, you got to have 2 years, 3 years, 4 year worth of history. So that's the beginning right there. You know, that's the reason why you would buy a shelf company. Then you want to make sure that if the bank requires for, you know, you to have shown that you filed taxes or something like that, you can go into that. But in most cases, it's just the history.
Yeah.
And then it's the credit. You know, then you got to have the business account. And then you'll be eligible for some type of money.
So you can help them with the structure. You can give them, you know, shelf business potentially.
Yep.
If they want to go that route.
Credit. I can
Business
help 'em with
credit,
the-
personal business credit.
Both.
Both.
Personal and business credit.
Yeah.
So like if you want to establish business credit, just like how you build and establish personal credit, then we can do that for you. You know, give you a bunch of vendors, give you the coaching on how to establish business credit, to where eventually you're not leveraging your personal credit, you're just using the business credit and the business funds and loans and things. And then a person can also, you know, get advice when it comes down to like real estate, coaching. We do that. Yep.
And how can they tap in with you?
Oh, there's a number. You can text 424-300 or 8049.
Okay. Run that back one more time.
So 424
Yep.
300 8049.
And what do they need to text to that number?
It's text Robin's your way.
So we're texting Robin's your way to that number, and that's gonna allow them to get access to you.
They get access, you know.
Do they get a free gift on that? What they get from there?
You can get a free gift.
So if
you
I
know what
text,
I'm
if I
saying?
text, I'm gonna text that
Yeah,
number
you
right
can get
now.
a free gift.
I'm
We'll
about to
give
get.
you money off of everybody that comes in that text that number. You know what I mean?
So
Because that's where it came from,
yeah,
right?
so
So we're going
listen,
to look
y'all.
out for you.
Make sure you guys tap on my guy.
And have them put your name, you know,
Okay.
next to the Robin's your way.
So listen, text Brendan to that number. But yeah, listen, if you guys are looking to level up your personal credit, your business credit, you know, maybe tap into one of these businesses, these LLCs that's already seasoned, so then you can go out and get funding immediately. You know, maybe you just need some business consulting, whatever it may be, to help you, you know, get set up and really take this year to double, triple your revenue.
Yeah.
And maybe even learn, like he was talking about earlier, right? That continuity. Maybe you need to understand, how can I take the current way I'm bringing in revenue and then create another revenue stream, you know, within the same business that's going to give me that consistent revenue.
Absolutely.
Every single month.
Yeah.
And then you can tell you what, you know, you can let them know what they can do with that.
Absolutely. Positivism.
All right, man. It's been another episode of the podcast, man. I appreciate you.
You too, brother.
Thanks for
Appreciate
breaking everything down.
Absolutely.
And make sure you guys follow my guy and tap in. We'll see you guys on another episode.